For 60 feet long with a bite strength equivalent to that of a T-Rex, the Megalodon could tear apart just about anything in its path. Well, that's what we thought. As it turns out, there were a number of other dangerous, terrorizing creatures that traversed our oceans, and they could put up one heck of a fight. Could the deadly Livitan be the reason the Meg went extinct, or was it because of a group of giant crocodiles asserting their dominance? This behemoth you see before you is the one and only Livitan whale. Appropriately named after the fearsome sea monster in the Old Testament, these enormous creatures weighed as much as 50 tons. From head to toe, or head to tail rather, the Livitan measured upwards of 50 feet. That would make it more than 50 times heavier than the large great white shark, with a length almost twice of that of a double-decker London bus. The focal point for this beast, however, was the body part that really made it a potential threat to the Megalodon. That was its giant skull. Not only was Livitan the largest predatory whale of the Miocene era by a country mile, but it had a head on its shoulders big enough to intimidate anything that came across it. Inside its almost 10-foot-long head, 3 meters, sat the longest teeth of any animal in history. At about 14 inches long, yeah, they were even larger than the Megalodons. While it's uncertain that these two predators would have consciously targeted each other, they may well have crossed paths in the pursuit of the same prey. And as we all know, things can get pretty crazy when someone gets in the way of you and your dinner. What gave Livitan an edge as an ancient ancestor to the Orca is that they very well may have traveled in packs like its great-great descendants. Who do you think would win, one Megalodon or 15 Livitan whales? Yeah, exactly. Squirming in and terrorizing the underwater world next is a creature so large yet so elusive that it's managed to stay undetected for millions of years. Cast your eye towards this mammoth-sized giant squid. Yep, at almost 43 feet or 13 meters long, it really is the biggest squid to ever live. That's taller than a telephone pole. But remember how I said these guys are cleverly elusive? That means that this 1-ton sea monster is only the biggest one we know of. After years of searching in 2012, a group of scientists from Japan's National Science Museum finally filmed a giant squid in its natural habitat. For all we know, there could be some of its siblings darting around under the ocean double or even triple that size. In addition to its 8 tentacles, the nightmarish creature has 2 feeding tentacles, which can snatch prey up to 33 feet or 10 meters away. These tentacles are lined with hundreds of powerful and aggressive sharp-toothed suckers, so watch out, Meg. Eyes the size of dinner plates, the giant squid can spot predators or prey lurking in the dark with ease. In general, sharks have a good sense of smell but poor eyesight, so it's very possible that the Meg's ability to navigate underwater would have paled in comparison to the giant squid. We know what you're thinking. The squid was only discovered this century, so how on earth would have been able to go toe-to-toe with the Meg? Well, actually, the giant squid goes back to at least the 4th century BC, as it appeared in Aristotle's writings. And since they've been evading humans for as long as we can remember, who's to say that this deep-sea dweller hasn't been around for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years? Making an appearance next is the underwater equivalent of the Tyrannosaurus rex, an extinct marine reptile that was large and powerful enough to have decimated the grandest of sharks. This is the Mosasaurus, a beast of a creature that roamed what is now Western Europe, North America, Japan, and New Zealand during the Maastrichtian age of the late Cretaceous period. That's around 70 to 66 million years ago. In case you were wondering, these angry and hungry apex predators of the prehistoric deep could feast on all manner of ocean life, including plesiosaurs and great white sharks. It weighed around 28 tons, about 4 times as heavy as an elephant, and grew 10 feet tall and a whopping 55 feet from head to tail. That means that it edged out the Livitan whale for size and would have been almost identical in length to our beloved Meg. While the Mesosaur's body type wouldn't have been ideal for high-speed swimming, it would have had a sizable advantage if it had lured the Megalodon to shallow waters, or even to shorelines. If you've seen Jurassic World, you'll realize that these things are not to be taken lightly. They ranked high on the aggression index, and thanks to their fearsome array of teeth, there was pretty much nothing that could stand up to it. Alright, let's leave the Cretaceous period behind for a second and fast forward to more modern times, and a creature we're all well and truly familiar with, the orca. They sound harmless, but remember, orcas are also called killer whales, and that's for a very good reason. They're the modern equivalent of the extinct Livitan whale. The largest orca ever recorded was 32 feet or 9.8 meters, which is longer than a school bus.
Wait a minute. 32 feet is considerably smaller than Megalodon.
True, but here's a sneaky trick that Orca has up its sleeve that the Meg doesn't. Orcas hunt in deadly pods, consisting of family groups of up to 50 individuals. Safety in numbers, folks. While some pods tend to focus on eating fish, smaller pods have been known to hunt all kinds of larger marine animals, including mammals. You'd think that a great white shark, the 21st century equivalent of the Meg, wouldn't be scared of anything, right? Haha, wrong. Even today, great whites are terrified of orcas because they love to feed on sharks. Look at the waters of South Africa, for example. Until 2019, the great white sat at the top of the local food chain, but last year, not a single great white shark has been spotted in a bay off South Africa's coast. Why? Because the orcas arrived and scared them off in a hurry. It's events like these that are thought to be the inspiration behind Moby Dick. We know that Megalodon had become extinct by the end of the Pliocene period, about 2.6 million years ago. The killer whale, as one of the 35 species in the oceanic dolphin family, first appeared around 11 million years ago. So it's entirely possible that the pair locked horns at one stage or another. Swimming in next is the legendary Rampasukas, another monster with the potential to overthrow Megalodon if all the cards fell its way. These giant crocodile-like creatures roamed around the ancient Indian subcontinent, and just like the Meg, lived during the Miocene period. Its fossils have only been found in two specific areas, in the Siwalik Hills and the Sindh region, both in Pakistan. They're thought to have grown between 26 and 36 feet or 8 and 11 meters, although earlier estimates suggested that it may have been even bigger than that, to be between 50 and 60 feet, 15 and 18 meters long. If true, that's about the same as an entire bowling lane. The reason for the uncertainty comes from the fact that scientists have only been able to analyze partial fossils. Compared to other crocodiles, it was thought to have a longer, thinner snout. Despite that, its bite remained one of the most powerful on Earth. So considering that it boasted a long, strong jaw, it would have made a sturdy challenger to the Meg. While our next oceanic monster might be a tongue twister to say, that didn't make it any less of a real-life threat. Nicknamed the killer sperm whale for good reason, the Zygophyseter varolii lived during the Tortonian age of the late Miocene period. That's about 11.2 to 7.6 million years ago, and it means that it could definitely have come in contact with our esteemed guest. We didn't even know the zygo existed until 2006, when scientists found an almost fully intact skeleton off the coast of Italy. As you can see, this beast had teeth large enough and sharp enough to take down almost anything. Those chompers reached almost 10 inches in height, and when you factor in that there were 28 in the lower jaw and 26 in the upper jaw, it's a frightening thought. Except for orcas and the Livitan, when we think of whales, for the most part, we think of calm, slow-moving, peaceful creatures, right? Well, did you know that there's something called a predatory whale? The Olophyseter fell into that category, and trust me, you didn't want to come face-to-face with it in any underwater alleys. Like the predatory whales such as the Acrophyseter and the alarming Livitan, the Olophyseter friends mainly existed during the Miocene period. Weighing in at around 2,400 pounds or 1,100 kilograms and measuring more than 22 feet or 6.5 meters long, the Olophyseter was known to have roamed the seas on the west and east coast of what is now the United States. Make no mistake, these guys weren't small. To make that obvious, 22 feet is almost 1.5 times the size of the length of a new Tesla 3. Doesn't make them a good one-on-one match for the Meg. Like orcas, the Olophyseter usually swam in groups. So we've dedicated a heap of time looking at the sea monsters that could have stood up to the Megalodon and potentially put it out of existence, but don't you think we need to give a little love to the guest of honor as well? It's true, the Megalodon's mouth was so big that you, yes, you, could swim into it without touching any of its teeth. And yeah, it literally could swallow an entire car with a bite force of 40,000 pounds per square inch. The teeth themselves were close to 7 inches tall, and remarkably, but almost kind of scarily, the beast could replace its teeth if it broke off. Not only did Megalodon have to watch out for all the animals we've already talked about, but it had to watch out for itself as well. Sometimes Megalodons attacked and even ate other Megalodons. It's not uncommon for modern sharks to show this kind of tendency either. When you're hungry, you're hungry. Estimates show that Megalodons were 40 to 50 feet in length and weighed around 48 tons. That would make it 3 times as tall as a giraffe if it were standing up. So, knowing all that, do you think that the Mosasaurus, a giant squid, or another creature could have taken down and fed on the Megalodon? Let us know in the comment section below.